Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Wednesday, about half your work week in the rear view mirror. Thanks for hanging out with us on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos with you until 3 o'clock. We got some guests to talk some baseball in this edition of the show. Les Johns covers Wake Forest. He's going to join us to talk about the Demon Deacons in 15 minutes. Really excited to chat with Chris Burke at 2 o'clock. You know Chris Burke from ESPN, the SEC Network. He'll be up in Omaha. He'll actually be in the airport, headed to Omaha when we chat with him at 2 o'clock. And then, as usual, on Wednesdays at 2:30, we'll chat with Chris Demui, former Tiger left-hander, guy who's been to Omaha a time or two. I think we'll be there this year as well, and we'll talk to Demui as we do each and every week. We got SEC schedules coming out this evening that we'll get into a little bit. We've got U.S. Open to chat about. Of course, Saints, Tigers football. So you just got a commitment that we'll talk about in 30 minutes from right now when I can glean some information on them because I've known about it for 8 minutes. So we'll talk about that here in 30 minutes. I want to start today with some baseball, with a little bit of perspective and some numbers about Charles Schwab Park, formerly known as TD Ameritrade Park, up in Omaha. I think most of you listening have a pretty good historical perspective on the ballparks in Omaha. You know that Rosenblatt was an absolute hitter's paradise. It was built up on the hill. The ball flew out of there. They just mashed home runs. We had a 21-14 national final at one point. And they moved to TD Ameritrade in 2011, and there was no offense. And you're all aware of all this. But I want to get a perspective of how things play now. So, for perspective, in 2013 and 2014, that was the height of the BB core bats, the huge stadium, just an absolute absence of offense in the College World Series. There were 3 home runs hit in 2013. There were 3 home runs hit in 2014. That is stupid. And that's how UCLA got up there and stole a national championship. That's not baseball. That's wiffle ball. I mean, it's just, that was really, really stupid. But they've changed things a little bit. We haven't gotten all the way to 1998 in Rosenblatt when there were 62 home runs hit by the teams. 17 by LSU, 17 by USC in 1998. But I think the park plays pretty fair at this point. In 2021, there were 28 home runs in 16 games, so 1.5 a game. And in 2022, there were 28 home runs in 15 games. So the last 2 years, there have been 28 home runs. If you look back at 2021, where I actually ran every game, you had multiple home runs in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You had multiple home runs in 9 of the 16 games. You had no home runs in just one game. So the home run ball is available. It's not Rosenblatt. And it's not 2012 and 2013 when there were 3 each of those years. And you look at the bracket, and yes, there are some really powerful teams headed to Omaha. LSU has 133 home runs on the season. Tennessee's got 125. That's just 8 less. Wake Forest has 129. That's just 4 less. Stanford has got 117. So they've clubbed a lot of home runs, but they're 4th in this bracket that's just loaded with power. And so I was listening to some of the D1 baseball guys earlier today, and they were talking about who depends on the home run because it's not as readily available to you in Omaha as it is maybe throughout the course of the season. Certainly that applies to Wake Forest, who plays in a bandbox. Their park is tiny. Now, they deserve a ton of credit for leading the country in ERA in that ballpark, but offensively, this is apples to oranges. Tennessee plays in a very, very hitter-friendly ballpark, especially to right field. They've got 125 home runs. This will be a little bit more difficult in that way. The box plays very offensive once we get into May. Sometimes it's real tough in February. I think that's the case a lot of places. But by the time you get to Super Regional weekend, like we saw on Saturday night when LSU hit 6 balls out of the ballpark, Kentucky followed with 3 the next day, it gets pretty offensive, and it's not necessarily the way to play in Omaha. So I think there isn't a team in LSU's bracket, LSU, Tennessee, Wake Forest, and Stanford. There's no one who's better positioned to play to the ballpark. Everybody is pretty offensive, and everybody has got some arms. Wake has the most. Tennessee's right there with them. LSU's probably running third in terms of depth, and Stanford's pitching is a little compromised once you get past Quinn Matthews. But offensively, they're all built about the same. They hit a lot of home runs throughout the lineup. LSU's got 8 guys with 10-plus home runs this year, and Morgan has 9. That's the best LSU's done since 1998 when they had 8 guys with 10 home runs and Blair Barbier hit 9. The same exact metrics. LSU's just got to go to Omaha and play a few more games. So, as is generally the tradition here on my show, we're going to say, well, how does this affect LSU specifically? If the home run ball is in play, but maybe not quite to the extent that it would be at the box, how is LSU positioned to play that way? And I think they're okay. LSU leads the SEC in batting average, first in the conference. They're first in on-base percentage. They're first in runs. They're third in walks. They're second in hit by pitches. None of those have anything to do on a large level with the home run ball. Those are just offensive statistics that show you're fairly well-rounded. Now, in terms of doubles, LSU is 4th in the SEC, but they're back into the 60s in the country in terms of doubles per game. And the teams in this regional hit more doubles than LSU generally does. I was listening to Aaron Fitt on the D1 Baseball podcast, and every year before he goes up to Omaha, he looks at doubles because you can't quite rely on the home run like you might want to. Nobody's hitting 6 in a game like LSU did on Saturday. But doubles play. You're lining the ball into the gaps. You're lining the ball down the line. You're hitting the ball hard and on a line. And that's how you collect doubles. And LSU's not quite to the level of the other teams, but it's not like they can't hit doubles. Look up and down that lineup. You don't think Dylan Cruz hit some doubles? You don't think Tommy White hit some doubles? Trey Morgan is a line drive hitter. Yeah, if you had like Jerry Jones in there, he kind of depends on the home run ball, but he's not in there. You could say the same thing for Hayden Travinski, but he's been hitting over 400 the entire time he's been in there. It hadn't just been home runs. He's hitting a lot of home runs. It's not just hitting home runs. So I don't look at this LSU team as some gorilla ball team that's going to go up there into what is used to be Yellowstone National Park and is just going to flail away and come up empty. I don't see it that way. And I don't see LSU as more reliant on the home run than any team in their bracket. Yes, they've hit more, but it's comparable. They've hit 4 more than Wake. They've hit 8 more than Tennessee. They have hit 16 more than Stanford, but percentage-wise, that's not a huge difference. So, to me, it's not a huge storyline. It is a huge storyline in Rosenblatt. It was a huge storyline in 12, 13, 14. As we sit here today, yes, you can't rely on the home run ball like you could all season long, but you can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Tommy White can fly it out of Charles Schwab. Dylan Cruz can fly it out of Charles Schwab. Hayden Travinski can fly it out of Charles Schwab. Promise you, they can get it done. And so can the guys at Tennessee. Blake Burke didn't have any trouble hitting a home run. Brock Wilkins got 30 for Wake Forest. They all don't play like they did it at home in Wake at Winston-Salem, but I think he can run it out of the yard if he runs into one. So I think the point of this segment, to go through some numbers, to illustrate some things, to talk about the ballpark and to talk about the bracket, is to generally say, I don't think it's a very big storyline. Now, the first time somebody hits a ball to the track and it gets caught because it doesn't carry as well in the new ballpark, everybody's going, oh, it's a huge ballpark. Everybody's playing in the same one, and you didn't catch it all the way if it didn't go out. You can hit the ball out of the ballpark. They're doing it 28 times a series. Most games are involving two or three home runs. So I point this out to say, look, I just don't think it's a big storyline at this point. I think they have figured out the bats and the balls. Maybe they've overcorrected to the point that home run records are falling everywhere. But it would not shock me at all if there are more than 30 home runs hit in this College World Series. In fact, it would probably surprise me if there weren't. Now, there's really good pitching up there. There's no doubt. Skeens doesn't give up a lot of long balls. Neither does Hurston Waldrop. You don't see, a ton of home run balls off Quinn Matthews. These are elite level guys. But as we get deeper into the weekend, deeper into the week, I think guys are going to be running the ball out of the yard. It's about who plays the best. Not about UCLA showing up, Adam Plutko throwing four-seamers up in the zone, letting guys wail away into the wind and fly out into a cavernous outfield. That dog won't hunt anymore. So I think this will, for me, kind of be the last time I talk about it. Now, if there's some sort of massive play, we'll look back. But for me, looking forward, I don't think LSU has to change anything they do going up to Charles Schwab. Tennessee doesn't either. Wake doesn't either. Stanford doesn't either. Get up there, take the baseball, go play. That's the way I'm looking at this thing at this point. We'll dive into some scouting reports from my perspective over the next 2 days. Media Day will be tomorrow. Charlie and Jimmy are headed up there tomorrow. They'll be broadcasting from up in Omaha tomorrow from 6 to 8. So still a ton to get to in terms of the College World Series. I'm excited to talk to Chris Burke. I'll get his thoughts on it. Burke's up there every single year, and he's an offensive dude. We'll chat with Chris Burke about how he thinks with this combination of bats and balls and the way that stadium plays, how this thing will look. And we'll get Chris Demui's thoughts as well as a guy who pitched in Rosenblatt. But when we come back, we're going to chat Wake Forest Demon Deacons, number 1 seed in this tournament, trying to snap a better than 2-decade curse of 1 seeds not being able to finish the deal. Les Johns covers Wake Forest. He'll join us next to talk about him.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We'll deep dive into LSU, Tennessee, and the rest of the CWS field. And it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Thanks for hanging out with us here. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. For about 11 or 12 weeks, LSU was the number one team in college baseball. After the Tigers lost a series to Auburn, that mantle shifted over to the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, and they have taken it from there. Deacs have not lost a weekend all season long. Les Johns covers Wake Forest for Demon Deacon Digest, part of the 247 network, and he joins us now. Les, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, glad to be on, Hunt. It's going well here in Winston-Salem. The team just got on the buses and headed off to the airport to travel to Omaha, and there's probably a couple 300 fans out there to send them off. It was a pretty good event.
Gotta be good vibes over in Winston-Salem at this point, the way that team has played all season long. And down here in Baton Rouge, we kind of expected LSU to be here when they took the field in February. They returned a lot of really good players from a solid team last year, and they went in the transfer portal and got just about every big-name player they could possibly get. Was Wake Forest expected to be very, very good this year when they took the field in February?
Well, they were a top 10 nationally ranked team. But amongst the fan base, there was probably a healthy amount of skepticism when the Deacs were bounced in the regional last year in Maryland at College Park. There was a fair amount of discontentment. There were fans that were antsy to see some more success. It's been a long time since Wake Forest had been kind of on the cusp of doing big things, which was back in 2017 when they pushed eventual champion Florida to the edge in the Gainesville Super Regional. The Deacs were highly touted in 2020, didn't get off to a very good start. Then that season got canceled because of COVID. They returned a bunch of guys who would have normally gotten drafted, right? And in 2021, they also were highly touted and then, didn't even make the ACC tournament. So Wake Forest fans saw the Deacs were highly regarded entering 2023. And I think there was a collective yawn from the fan base. They didn't really believe it. It took them going out on the field and performing. Like you said, they haven't lost a weekend all season long. By the time Miami came to town, probably the early third of the conference schedule, fans started to turn out. And, the attendance records started falling. It's been a packed house for both the regional and the super regionals, which is completely different than 2017. Like when Wake hosted a regional in 2017 and hosted West Virginia, there was a packed house for that, but the attendance was split. It was a 50-50 house with Wake fans and West Virginia fans. This was completely a Wake Forest crowd. For those in Baton Rouge who may not realize it, Wake Forest is the smallest Power 5 school in the country. So you have 5,000 undergrads, and that means you have a smaller alumni base, which means you've got a smaller fan base. So to fill up a stadium full of, close to 4,000 fans for Wake Forest baseball is something that, I have never seen, and I've covered the program for nearly a decade. But the environment's been fantastic. The support in the community and amongst the alumni has been great. But it took a little bit of winning along the season for them to kind of come around and say, oh, this team might be pretty good.
I did not realize Wake was the smallest school, and I've got a cousin who I'm very close with that went to Wake Forest, so I didn't even realize that. So, look, the offensive numbers are fantastic, and I do want to talk about them, but most teams this year have had fantastic offensive numbers, and most teams have struggled to find guys to pitch. That has not been the case for Wake Forest. They've got seemingly an endless amount of guys who can go out there and have gotten it done all year long, and I think it starts with Rhett Lauder. Tell us about his season.
Rhett Lauder has been fantastic. You can't get any better than being perfect, right? Rhett is 15-0 now on the season. He's had 17 starts for Wake Forest this year, and 17 times that he started, Wake Forest has come out with a victory. It doesn't get any better than that, right? He's got 4 pitches he can throw for strikes. If one's not working, he's got 3 others he can go to. very cerebral. And they haven't worn his arm out. I mean, he's only went north of 100 pitches in a game, just a handful of times, I'd say. So, he's not fatigued going into the College World Series. He's coming on full rest, and I expect him to start Saturday against Stanford. And I expect that to be 18-0 when the day is over. But the other thing about Wake Forest from a pitching perspective is just the sheer depth.
Yep.
And it's remarkable the depth they have in the pitching staff. When you figure they lost Teddy McGraw to an elbow injury before the season even started, McGraw was a guy who was slated to go in about the mid-20s in the MLB draft this coming year. And some were arguing that he might be a better arm than Rhett Lauder entering the season. So for them to lose a key weekend starter and still have the depth and the talent they have on the mound this season has been one of the bigger stories surrounding this team.
You say you expect Lauder to go on Saturday. I think everyone would expect that. Of course, LSU will not play Wake Forest on Saturday, but very well could on Monday. Who would you imagine either to save the season or to advance even deeper into the winner's bracket might LSU run into from Wake Forest in a Monday game?
I would expect Monday's game to be Josh Hartle, depending upon whether that's in the winners or the losers bracket. From a Wake Forest perspective, it's kind of a shame that, from a college baseball perspective, I guess it's more of a shame we don't get to see that Rhett Lauder versus Skeens matchup, right, that the college baseball world is probably, hungry to see. But, I expect both of those guys to go on Saturday. And then, on Monday, if the two teams meet, I'm sure it'll be a quality matchup with Josh Hartle getting the start for the Deeks.
What's Hartle's game like?
Hartle's been solid for the Deeks this year, too. He's at about 2.8 ERA. Wake has 4 starters under 3, ERA, and they lead the nation in team ERA. Hartle has made a tremendous jump from his soft freshman year to sophomore year. He added a cutter late last season that's really biting. He's 12-2 on the season. Strikeout to walk ratio like almost 7-1. He's not going to give you anything easy. Whatever you get on him, you're going to have to earn. And I know LSU has some batters that are very capable of that.
Yeah, you mentioned the Lauder Skeens matchup. We won't see it on the opening 3 days, but you could see it down the line maybe on a Thursday to get into a championship series, which would be something to see up there in Nebraska. Let's switch over to the Wake Forest offense, chatting with Les Johns, who covers Wake Forest for Demon Deacon Digest, part of the 247 network. Nick Kurtz and Brock Wilken kind of get most of the headlines for this Wake Forest team. Tell us about Kurtz.
Yeah, Kurtz is probably the best defensive first baseman I've seen in my 10 years of covering college baseball, which probably gets, doesn't get the acclaim as his absolute bombs that he blasts. But, he's an incredible first baseman. He saves the Wake Forest infield, multiple times a weekend from, potential errors being able to, scoop and stretch. But, yeah, he can blast it as well, hit for average, an all-around player that I can see going in the top 5 or 10 in next year's draft. Definitely a future superstar.
We know that Wake Forest plays in a smaller ballpark, which makes, to me, the pitching numbers so impressive, but maybe could inflate offensive statistics a little bit. Have they had any trouble leaving their home ballpark and playing on the road? They haven't lost a weekend all year, but has the offense maybe ticked down coming out of that hitter-friendly ballpark?
I think the biggest thing, and I think that this runs for a lot of college baseball teams, right, is not necessarily when the long ball might be taken away from them, because, they can hit to all parts of the field and they can hit for average and they can play small ball as well. The biggest thing is situational hitting. There are times where, runners left on base can rear its ugly head. You just don't get the key hit. The offense kind of tightens up a little bit. I don't anticipate Omaha being a challenge for them in terms of, okay, they're not going to be able to blast 9 home runs because, they can find the gap. They can move runners over and they can play small ball, and they have great pitching and defense. I think, it's just like any team. If you end up leaving, 12 runners in scoring position because you don't get that key hit, that would maybe be a tough nut to crack for the Deeks. And, when they lose games, that sometimes you can kind of look back on, they just didn't get the key hit, or they struck the ball hard, they barreled it, but it was right at somebody. Or like the ACC tournament game against Miami, which they played in practically a monsoon, in which Miami just played out of their world, just out of their mind defensively. You just have games like that. It's college baseball.
Last one, Les, your time very much appreciated. They haven't lost a weekend all year. Their pitching numbers are remarkable. Their offensive numbers are remarkable. If there is something that may be some sort of a weakness that may be exploited there in Omaha, what could it be?
I mean, that's tough to say. There's some folks Wake related that are concerned that the moment might be bigger than what these guys are used to. You know, they're not used to playing in a stadium quite that big. They're not used to a stage quite this big. You know, this is something that they've believed in from the moment they got that together last fall. You know, they believed that they were a team that could make a deep run. So now that they're there, how do they mentally stay, you know, within their own game? Another thing, too, I would say is, you know, what if, you know, Rhett Lauder is human on Saturday and the Deeks take their first loss and, you know, with him on the mound and they have to fall down to the losers bracket? How do they respond to that? I feel like they've responded well to any adversity they faced during the season. They lost the series opener at Pitt like 3-0 and then scored 40 runs the next two games. You know, they countered. They had some injuries, you know, to position players, you know, mid-season to Adam Sesteri and to Nick Kurtz, and they've kind of battled through that. They've handled adversity well this season, but, you know, what happens if they get on that big stage and face a little bit of adversity Saturday against Stanford and get bumped down to the losers bracket? You know, how do they handle that? That's a big question, I think.
We shall see. We all can't wait for action on Saturday. It'll be Wake Forest and Stanford in the early game, and LSU will take on Tennessee in the nightcap. Les, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the baseball.
Glad to be on. Can't wait to make the trip. Thanks a lot.
He is Les Johns, Demon Deacon Digest, part of the 24/7 network. Talked to Glenn West yesterday, who's going to be going for 24/7, and Les will be there as well. You know, you mentioned that it can be jarring if you throw an ace out there and don't get it done. I think about LSU in 2013 when they sent Aaron Nola, the National Pitcher of the Year, out there, and he was brilliant. You think did not give up an earned run, but Bregman kicked a ground ball, and UCLA scored a couple of runs, and you lost a 2-1 ball game where Christian Ibarra hit the warning track twice, and that's one of the years where there were 3 home runs hit the whole College World Series. I mean, Cats hit one in that game, but it just wasn't really doable. And then you're kind of shell-shocked, like, oh, we weren't expecting that. We're supposed to be in the winner's bracket, and all of a sudden North Carolina clips you, and you're headed on home. So I think that is one very, very visible advantage in that Wake Forest-Stanford game. Stanford has been to Omaha. They've been there the last 2 years. The guys on that team have been to Omaha, and Wake hasn't. So, Skip always says you got to go a couple of times before you can win, which, in some cases is true and in some cases isn't. But that's one spot you could point to Wake and Stanford and kind of give the nod to Stanford. They got the experience. I mean, you look at Wake Forest statistics, it's jaw-dropping. I mean, you look at Rhett Lauder's 15-0 with a 1.92. Josh Hartle's 11-2 with a 2.80. Both of those guys have 131 strikeouts on the year. Lauder in 108 innings, Hartle in 96 innings. And then you look at the other two starters, Keener and Sullivan, and they've moved Sullivan to the bullpen. But those guys have had 21 and 15 appearances, and their ERAs are under 2.65. And then you go to their closer, Camden Manasseh, and he's got an ERA of 2.73. He struck out 44 in 29 2/3. So they just got statistically a juggernaut over there at Wake Forest. Now, I get it. There's going to be people down here in Baton Rouge that say, well, they hadn't played in the SEC. They don't know what it's about to play really good teams every weekend. And that's fine. We'll see. We don't have to guess at the end of this thing. Either Wake Forest will show up and play great baseball, or they'll show up and they'll get overwhelmed. But I would bet that they're going to play pretty well. It wouldn't shock me at all if Stanford beat them on Saturday. Stanford's good, and who knows what Quinn Matthews has left in that left arm. But it's a really good Wake team. I'm very prepared to say that, and that shouldn't take too much. You're not sliding the rest of the field when you say that Wake statistically looks phenomenal. And to not lose a college baseball weekend all year long is incredible. And that Wake team is very, very good. So we appreciate Les Johns for jumping on and chatting with us. We'll chat with Chris Burke coming up in 30 minutes. Chris Demui an hour from right now. You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
This is on Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you can run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like this Wall Street.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Up on Thursday's OTB. Hear from the head man of LSU baseball, Jay Johnson, as they get ready to head to Omaha. Plus, we'll talk to your favorite announcer from the booth, Ben McDonald, giving you his read off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It is a What If Wednesday. We'll get to that here in a moment, but do want to tell you that LSU has secured a football commitment in the last hour. Kylan Billiot, 6'3", 190-pound wide receiver from down in Houma, goes to Terrebonne High School, has committed to LSU. He doesn't have a very gaudy offer list at this point. If you look at the On3 database, Tulane, Nicholls State, Georgia Tech, Southeastern are the ones that show up. However, apparently Kylan Billiot put on a show at camp last week. And we see this most years. Most years, somebody shows up and tears it up. I know that Justin Jefferson did that. Most years there's a 2-3-star player from somewhere in Louisiana that shows up to camp with an edge and just balls. And the word is, I certainly wasn't there. You talk to some people that were there, the recruiting services. Kylan Billiot was fantastic. You love his frame. I mean, 6'3", 190 pounds is perfect for a wide receiver. You grow into 6'3", 205, and you've got great size, even at the SEC level. So Billiot is added in to this class for LSU as they continue to do a really, really strong job of locking up the state of Louisiana. Trey'Dez Green from the state of Louisiana. Deshaun McBride from the state of Louisiana. Kalaj Cobbins, Juwan Johnson, Xavier Adkins, all Louisiana kids. The list goes on and on. Joel Rogers, who they got into the boat in the last couple of days, is from Louisiana. Demarion Johnson from New Iberia. We're talking about Kylan Billiot. Go Kerry Lee. John Ehret, that's another Louisiana player. Wallace Foster, Louisiana. Ahmad Bros from Ruston. Aaron Burrell from Bossier. All Louisiana kids. They are doing a phenomenal job of getting players from inside the state. They still got work to do. Some of the guys in the top 10, and depending on the service, Billiot generally does not show up in the top 10, but it's a guy that they loved at camp, that is a Louisiana player. They're going to make a move on him, and immediately when he gets that offer, he commits just about on the spot. So Kylan Billiot is the newest addition to LSU's class. If you look at it, LSU has 17 commitments now for the class of 2024. All right, it is Wednesday. It's middle of the first hour. That means it's time for What If Wednesday.
Space. Reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question. What if?
Alrighty, first one here. What if you won the Stanley Cup in Vegas?
Well, that's unlikely to happen because I'm not very good at hockey. I don't think I've ever played hockey. But if I did win the Stanley Cup in Vegas, I can't think of a better spot. I mean, we just saw LSU win the national championship in New Orleans, which is pretty good. I know the players think we're out fairly late on bourbon after that one, but winning it in Vegas, a city that literally does not sleep, that is literally going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that's a pretty good spot to be the hometown team and to get it done. The Golden Knights, of course, won the Stanley Cup last night. I would imagine they spent some cash, they had some fun, and they're probably still going. As of out there right now, it's just before noon. I think they're probably still going out there. That is that's storybook right there. I mean, there probably isn't a place you'd rather do it in. I mean, I think Miami is probably a pretty good spot, but Vegas is tops, I would think. You can have plenty of fun in Boston or New York or wherever, but Vegas, that's a good pull for the Golden Knights.
What if you're making the trip to Omaha and don't know the places to be?
Well, just call Jimmy and Charlie. That's easy. Just get Jimmy and Charlie. They'll show you the casino. They'll show you Barrett's. But look, if you're going up to Omaha and you have not been, there are some spots that are very synonymous with the event. I'll just tell them to you. I mean, Barrett's is the spot for LSU. It's not in the way. It's out of the way. You're going to need to Uber, and it's not going to be walking distance from anybody's hotel or the stadium or any of that. You have to go to Barrett's, but you want to go to Barrett's if you're an LSU fan and have not been there. They do an awesome job of housing everybody. I just read a story that Scott Rabelais wrote up on The Advocate that talks about that Barrett's has got the LSU flag out. They'll play the LSU music, and they've got a huge outdoor area that includes like a volleyball court and whatnot, so you don't have to worry about LSU coming in like overtaking and making it too crowded to have a good time. It's a great time, and let me tell you this. If you go to Barrett's, you will see someone you know. Like, it's just a big LSU party, so I very much would strongly recommend going to Barrett's. Around the stadium, you've got the Blatt, which is a bar behind, I believe, right field. But it's right there, walking distance to the stadium. Rocco's, where they do the Jello shot competition, is right around the corner from the stadium as well. So those are two places if you're looking to maybe stop in right before or right after a game. If you're not going out to Barrett's or going out to dinner, you're looking for like a quick cold drink or something to eat before or after a game. Those two are right there and are all some great spots. There are almost endless amounts of steakhouses, and I can't even pretend to tell you that I've been to all of them. I have not. I've been to the Drover, which is a good spot. They're famous for their whiskey steaks. I would not call it like a fine dining restaurant by any stretch of the imagination. It's one of your like old school Midwest, big salad bar, delicious steak. Going to be some folks in there, wearing hats and what. I mean, it's just not a fancy restaurant. It's just got a good Midwest cut of beef. So the Drover, I would recommend. I think it is very, very good. But again, there's lots of great places. Old Mattress Factory is right around the corner from the stadium as well. So the difference now from Rosenblatt, like you literally had to park either like by the zoo or you had to park in a neighborhood. I mean, the first time I ever went to an LSU game at Rosenblatt, the only time I ever went was 2009, and we went when they played Virginia in the opener. And we parked our car, and we had gotten an ice chest, which they didn't know what that word meant. I asked the person where their ice chests were, and he had no clue what I was talking about. I had to say cooler for him to know what I was talking about. But they gave us a styrofoam one. We loaded up with beer, and we were going to go sit on the bluff to wait for tickets. You had to wait on the big hill out behind the outfield to get tickets, and we're walking through a neighborhood because that's where we had to park, and the styrofoam ice chest, the bottom fell out of it, and all the ice and beer went everywhere. And the people of Omaha love that event so much and love LSU fans so much. Somebody came out and gave me their ice chest so that I could reload it up with beer and roll it out to Rosenblatt. But that paints a picture of like what it was like around Rosenblatt. The zoo was right out there behind right field. It was up on a bluff, and then there was a neighborhood, and there was Zesto's and the card shop, and that was basically it. Now it's downtown. There are hotels, there are restaurants, there are places to be around the ballpark where there weren't really at Rosenblatt. So one more thing that I would suggest that you do if you're going up for the first time and have not been, even if you have been and have not been to the new stadium, go back to Rosenblatt. It's now called the infield at the zoo because they paved it. They tore it down and paved it, but they left a little infield type thing with some of those rainbow colored seats that are there, and I think it's pretty cool. I think some people are devastated that they tore the place down, but they did a pretty good job of putting a little memory spot there for people that have been there over the years. They still have the foul lines that go into the parking lot, and I believe the last time I went was 13. They still have the foul poles up in the parking lot as well. So go check out where Rosenblatt was. I would highly recommend that. But look, you know somebody that's been, just call them, and you'll know somebody up there if you're going too. So just meet up with some friends and have a good time. It is such a great trip. I'm jealous of those who are going, and I think if we can get to the championship series, I'm going to buy a ticket and go up there, but I will be here for next week. So that's a rundown on Omaha from a guy who's only been twice.
Speaking of you being here this week,
yes.
What if LSU played on Friday? Would you try to keep up with the game during the concert or just wait it out and find out afterwards?
So I got in trouble for this too at home for talking about it and for tweeting about it. If you're new to this, for Christmas, I got my wife tickets to the Thomas Rhett and Cole Swindell concert on Friday. That's when I thought that the College World Series started on Saturday. So I was in no danger of missing an LSU College World Series game watching the concert. I'm very excited to go to the concert, by the way. I love Thomas Rhett and Cole Swindell. I like what y'all would refer to as bad country. I love it, and I'm all in on it, and I'm excited to go. However, if LSU was playing on Friday, I would have gone to the concert, and I would have paid attention on my phone. I would have been more diligently watching as I went to get a beer or went to the bathroom, and I probably would have made a couple more bathroom runs because of it. I would not have just held the phone in front of my face and like taken away from my wife's enjoyment of the concert, but I would have paid attention. I couldn't freeze myself out. Like, my dad is fully capable of not watching any sporting event, recording it at home, and then going to watch it as if it were live. I can't do that. I can't. The score is readily available. I need to have it live. I can't act like I'm emotionally invested in something that happened 3 hours ago. That to me doesn't compute. Not in this day and age. Maybe there was a time where tape delay was the norm and people did it and that's what they could do, and the Miracle on Ice was tape delayed. Everybody watched it and it was fantastic. Not anymore. Not in this day and age. I would have had to keep up with it in some way, shape, or form while I was there. Probably just some glances at the phone between songs and some more in-depth watching. And look, if there was bases loaded and 2 outs at some point, I'm probably going to have to go to the bathroom. And I use air quotes there and just watch it somewhere else. So luckily, we won't have that problem. I'm not going to be able to watch Florida and Virginia live. That's okay. I'll get LSU and Tennessee on Saturday. So no issues with the concert. Looking forward to it, though. All right, that's a What If Wednesday here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. When we come back, I'll try to make you a little bit of money. That's next.
This is on Palmer. Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jimmy Ott, Charles Handegrift, Thursday night edition of Live at Lunch. It's dinner time, 6 to 8 p.m. from Ameristar, brought to you by Roosters Men's Grooming Center. It's Live at Lunch, special evening edition, 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is on Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Just check Dylan Cruz's Instagram. He is at Charles Schwab Field right this very second. Just posted a picture of the stadium from on the field. So the Tigers have landed in Omaha, and they will start their quest for a 7th national championship coming up on Saturday against Tennessee. And incidentally, Tennessee alum Chris Burke going to join us in 10 minutes to talk about all things College World Series. I do this before every major championship in golf, give you some betting advice, give you $100 to throw around. I think Scotty Scheffler's going to win this week. He's just playing so good, and eventually he's going to make some putts, and he's going to win the golf tournament. So that's who I think is going to win. But here's some bets that I saw on FanDuel that I like for $100 of action. You can bet Scotty Scheffler to be the top American player and Victor Hovland to be the top European player. If both of those hit, it's plus 2,500, so $10 on that wins $250. Again, I love Scheffler this week, and Hovland's been playing fantastic. We know that he was close to the PGA before he sculled a ball into the lip of the bunker, and that ruined everything for him. Tyrrell Hatton has played very, very well. He shot 62 on Sunday with a double bogey, which is very, very hard to do. So he's hitting it great, and that's what it's going to take in the U.S. Open. I don't know if I like his ability to keep his mental game in check, but he's really good at golf. So I'll take him for a top 5 at plus 550. That's $20 to win 110. I'll sprinkle some down the line here on Tony Finau. I can't think of anybody in the world of golf who makes brilliant golf look easier than Tony Finau. Doesn't look like he's swinging very hard. He hits it a mile. He's just kind of casual walking around. He's just insanely talented, and I think eventually he's going to get in the mix of one of these things and finish it. So put $20 on him to win at plus 3,400. That $20 would net you $680. He's one of the guys down the line that I like. Again, I think Scheffler's going to win it, but down the line I like him. And I got a little three-man parlay here with Rahm, Brooks, Koepka, and Rory. If they all finish in the top 5, that's plus 4,700. So $20 would win 940 there if Rahm, Brooks, and Rory all finished in the top 10. And then just one for fun, because why not? $30 on Sergio to miss the cut at minus 126. That $30 bet would net you $23.81. Not exactly going to get you rich betting on Sergio to miss the cut, but I don't like Sergio. I don't like the way he's playing either. I think he's going to miss the cut. I think his time playing competitive golf in terms of competing for championships is over. Go count your cash and enjoy live, but you're not going to win anything of substance anymore. And I don't like his post-game press conferences where he says he's not having any. Everything about him is not likable. Better to miss the cut. $30 to win $23.81. So I got Scheffler top American with Victor Hovland top European, Tyrrell Hatton top 5, Tony Finau to win, Rahm, Brooks, and Rory in the top 5, and then Sergio to miss the cut because why not? All right, that'll do it for our first hour here on the Hunt Palmer Show. It was fun when we chatted about Charles Schwab Park and how it's playing, what kind of numbers it's surrendering in terms of homers in recent past, and how that's going to affect LSU's bracket. If you want to go back and listen to it, I support that. If you don't, basically my point is it's just not as big a story as it used to be. It's not a launching pad like Rosenblatt was. It's not a graveyard like it used to be 10 years ago. It's a fairly fair park, and I think that all 4 teams on LSU side of the bracket kind of play to it the same way. Les Johns covers Wake Forest for Demon Deacon Digest, part of the 24/7 network. He joined us at 1:15. Talked about LSU's newest football commitment, Kylan Billiot from Terrebonne. That was at 1:30 along with What If Wednesday, and then I gave you some action for some U.S. Open bets. If you want to listen to any of that, you can always do it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tabs where all our shows are. OTB, Live at Lunch, my show, Matt's show after further review. They're all there at 1045ESPN.com. Or if you want to go to one of your apps, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, you can find all of our shows right there as well, especially on YouTube, where we want you to subscribe to our 2 channels. I've got 2, and the subscriptions are going up. I appreciate y'all for doing that. We got Hunt on LSU, which is all LSU football. We've got Hunt on Saints, which is all Saints football. If you want easy access to our LSU football stuff and our Saints stuff, Hunt on LSU and Hunt on Saints on YouTube. You can search for them and subscribe. Loaded second hour coming to you. We're going to learn the 2024 SEC football schedule tonight. We've already had some leakage on that. I'll tell you what we've learned at 2:15. Chris Demui is going to be with us in his normal spot at 2:30, talking Tigers. And when we come back, excited to bring on Chris Burke. You know him from ESPN, the SEC Network as well, former Tennessee Volunteer. He is in the airport on the way to Omaha. So we are going to chat with Chris Burke for a few minutes at the top of hour number 2. Come back with us after Sports Center. You're listening to the Capital City Sports Talk leader. It's 1045 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further. like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring. Wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. NBA draft 8 days away as rival NBA teams begin reaching out to the Wizards to explore the possibility of trading for Bradley Beal. He and the team will work together in trade talks, reports ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Beal's the only current NBA player with a no-trade clause and has control over possible destinations. Appears to be some thought within the league. The Pelicans may make Zion Williamson, a former #1 overall pick, available in a trade this offseason. ESPN NBA insider Brian Windhorst told Get Up that the Pelicans have had cursory discussions about moving into the top 5 in next Thursday's draft to try and land a potential star. ESPN NBA analyst JJ Redick.
The only way I'm considering trading Zion Williamson is if I know right now in mid-June that he's not in shape. As of right now, coming off a hamstring injury, he should be strong, he should be fit, he should be back on the court.
JJ on First Take. He's here. That tweet from the Bills today regarding receiver Stephon Diggs. He took part in today's minicamp practice after being absent yesterday.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on this Wednesday, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. LSU Baseball's official Instagram account confirms the Tigers are out there getting their first look at Charles Schwab Field. Guy who sees it every year about this time is Chris Burke. He joins us now on the way to Omaha. Chris, thanks for the time. How are you, man?
Man, I am great. Looking forward to it. I'm en route, so I'm in Detroit, ready to catch a flight out to Omaha.
It's a star-studded field in terms of teams and players. Who's the one guy you're excited to see play over the next week?
Oh, that's not fair. I mean, we've got the SEC Pitcher and Player of the Year. We got the Pac-12 Pitcher and Player of the Year. We got the ACC Pitcher and Player of the Year. Heck, we even got the Summit League Pitcher and Player of the Year. We got more first-rounders than I could put in an article to talk about. And that's just for this year's draft. I mean, that doesn't even count the guys that are going to be drafted in the first round of next year's draft. So I can't. We have 1 and 2 from the preseason poll playing each other, as you all know plenty about.
Sure.
Coming Saturday night, and I think 1, 2, 3, and 6 are in the field. We have 5 of the top 8 national teams, but I'm not sure the field in Omaha has ever been this good.
It's very, very strong. It's going to be a wild week and a half up there in Omaha. Who's 1, 2, 3 in terms of starting pitching depth do you like? Is it Tennessee? Is it Florida? Is it Wake? If you had to pick one.
Wow. Well, you just named them.
Yeah.
I'd say just off track record and consistency, I would probably go Wake, Florida, Tennessee. But, it wouldn't shock me if either of those 3 teams' staff had crazy successful week. And I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty bullish on LSU staff. I'm kind of the guy all year long when everybody was jumping off the bandwagon. Like I've always really liked LSU's pieces, and they are certainly rounding into form. And man, that offense was nasty last week.
It certainly did. Let's dive into LSU and Tennessee, then we'll get to some of the other games and other teams as we move forward. But do you expect Tony Vitello to stick with Andrew Lindsey at the top here against LSU and very likely Paul Skeens?
Yeah, I do. I think it makes a ton of sense. I think one of the things to think about with this first part of the Omaha journey is it's a 4-team double elimination tournament, right? That's what it is. You're facing the best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in the history of the sport, college baseball, that is. I think Paul Skeens would be a top flight rotation pitcher in the big leagues today. Like that's what you're up against, right? Not to mention Dylan Cruz and that offense that's insane. So why would you push Chase Dolander up when he just had probably his biggest workload of the year? And to be honest with you, I mean, Andrew Lindsey has been very, very good. So, I think selfishly everybody kind of wants the sizzle of Dolander versus Skeens, but I'm Tony Vitello. I'm just rolling with status quo and try to figure out a way to make the game close in the 8th inning.
What's been the biggest difference for Tennessee since a 5-10 SEC start that's got them in Omaha?
Well, a big part of it's shuffling the rotation. It really is. When they decided to put Burns in the bullpen and put Lindsey at the top of the rotation, they immediately swept Vanderbilt, and that got them back with a chance. And they've obviously finished really strong. I think also, Hunt, it took a while for them to kind of get over the last year identity. If you've watched this team any lately, it is very different vibe than last year. Even Tony has a very different vibe than last year. And I just think it took them a while. You know, as talented as their position player group is, it's 9 brand new players. Now, Blake Burke and Christian Moore, Jared Dickey, they were a big part of last year's team, but Jared Dickey was hurt pretty much the whole second half of the season. And Blake Burke and Christian Moore were splitting DH duty. You know, so as far as you look at the everyday 8 position players out there on that field, it's a brand new group. And so I just think it took a while. Even as talented as they are, it took them a while.
On the other side, when do you expect to see Quinn Matthews, and what do you expect to see from him after last week?
I think Quinn Matthews is maybe one of the coolest stories in Omaha. I was just talking to KP about him. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen a better mixture of stereotypical left-handed pitcher, just a little goofy, really funny, kind of a California surfer dude. That's the vibe. And then just like a pure warrior. Like, he's got this incredible mixture of a bunch of different personalities that makes him kind of fascinating, honestly. So when he gets the ball, I would think he gets the ball first. Like, I don't think Quinn Matthews is worried about what people think he should and shouldn't do with his arm. So I think if they feel like he's at full go as far as like he's physically ready to do it, I think they're going to hand him the ball.
We spent a lot of time in the first hour talking about the way that the stadium is going to play. LSU fans are familiar with the way it looked in 12 and 13 when nobody could get the ball out of the ballpark, and now we're seeing crazy offensive numbers that everybody's putting up everywhere. How do you expect offense to look this week and a half?
Well, it's supposed to be cool the first few days, and usually when it's cool, the wind tends to blow out. You know, it's kind of set up for a south wind, which usually blows in or across, but it's supposed to be cool. So my guess is the wind might be blowing out. I don't know that it matters with the crazy group of talented hitters that are in this field and the way the ball is flown out of the park all year long. I expect to see home runs. You know, is it going to be the most ever? Probably. Are they going to shatter the record? I don't know. But there's also tons of good arms. But I don't think the ball will have a problem getting out of the yard.
Chatting with Chris Burke, part of ESPN's college baseball team, also with the SEC Network, headed to Omaha right now. Let's talk about Wake Forest. A lot's made of the size of their ballpark, which makes their pitching numbers look even more ridiculous. And you look at the offensive numbers and you go, okay, I think they're really good there too. How do you expect the Demon Deacon offense to play up there?
Well, I mean, it's hard to think they won't be really, really tough. You know, I think obviously the pitching in this tournament is going to be a different level game in and game out for all these teams. And so the hitters are going to have their hands full. But there's so many guys in that lineup that can take you deep that I don't expect Wake to have a problem scoring runs. I mean, and they got the ACC's all-time leading home run hitters in the middle lineup. And they get number 4 and number 5 in the country in OPS, hitting 3 and 4 in their lineup. Like, it's an SEC elite kind of offense. In other words, they can hit the ball at the ballpark up and down that batting order. And they got guys that know the strike zone, aren't afraid to take walks. It's not too dissimilar from LSU's offense, honestly.
I can talk my way into all 4 teams on that side. I've got a hard time talking myself out of Florida on the other side. What do you think?
I think that's a great take. I would say that Virginia and TCU are going to be tough outs, and I think Oral Roberts is not your typical Cinderella story. You know, there's Widener and Benton in the bullpen are real. Those guys have like big time stuff, and then you know Jonah Cox is one of the best players in the whole tournament. Kid's got a 47-game hitting streak. I mean that I think most people would have a hard time doing that in Little League. So I think for Robert, I think that other side doesn't have quite the sex appeal maybe as the LSU side of things, but I think it's going to be a fascinating watch, and I think that Virginia and TCU position player group top to bottom rivals Florida's. I just think Florida's pitching is really, really good.
I know you're about to board. We'll let you go. Enjoy Omaha, Chris. Thanks for the time, man.
Okay, my pleasure.
He's Chris Burke. I just enjoy very much conversations with Chris Burke. I think he does such a great job on the color and really in studio, but on the color specifically, he does a good job of explaining things to someone who doesn't eat, sleep, and breathe baseball, but for those that do, he kind of gives you some of that as well. And so I really enjoy my conversations with Chris Burke. And all I was saying there, I do believe it. I think I don't love Stanford coming out of the LSU side. I can talk myself pretty easily into LSU, Tennessee, or Wake Forest winning it. I just don't think Stanford's got the arms. That's just the way that I read it. I have a hard time picking against Florida on that side. The way that they can pitch it to go with that lineup, with Caglione, who's got 30 homers, with Wyatt Langford, who's going to be the second or third pick in the draft, with Rivera playing the way that he did in the Super Regional. I mean, it's just ridiculous what they've got in terms of talent over there. And I'm just not prepared to see that TCU coming off a win over, Indiana State or Virginia is going to go get it done against Florida. But we'll see. Something crazy happens every single year up there. So we will certainly see. But one thing I took away from that, and Chris Burke is pretty plugged in over at Tennessee. So I don't think that he's asked Tony Vitello who he's starting and knows. But I think that there's a good chance that LSU is going to see Andrew Lindsey coming up on Saturday. I think he's going to hold Dolander one more to like he's done the last 6 weeks. And since they put Andrew Lindsey in the top, they've been really good. And I just assumed it would be Dolander when I realized that Tennessee was playing. And then I looked at it and I kind of evaluated and I said, it's not like Andrew Lindsey is like somebody's like a midweek starter they just plugged in on the front. Like he's really talented and throws 96 miles an hour. Like they're not giving up. Like Kentucky gave up against LSU in the Thursday game of their weekend series. Not the Super Regional, the regular season one. Kentucky threw a guy out there who literally pitched 2 times after that the rest of the season. They totally gave up in that game against Skeens. This is not that if you throw Andrew Lindsey out there. Not just because you don't throw Chase Dolander doesn't mean that Tennessee is just not playing to win. I think they are playing to win. Andrew Lindsey has given them a great chance to win when he's been out there. And then if you've got Dolander, he's there to save your season or to pitch you into very much an advantageous position of starting 2-0 where somebody's got to come back and beat you twice. So appreciate Berkey for coming on and chatting with us. All right, tonight, you may not know this because I didn't realize this until yesterday, but tonight the SEC Network is going to have a special. They're going to unveil next season's football schedule. Like not 2023, we've obviously got that. The following season, 2024, that's the first year that Texas and Oklahoma join the fray. So there have been some leaks. Chris Lowe's got a few. Billy Lucci's got a few. So I'm going to put together what we know. There are a couple of LSU games that we know about, and there are a couple of other factoids that we know. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that before we get to Chris Demui at 2:30. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco, voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenge.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We'll deep dive into LSU, Tennessee, and the rest of the CWS field. And it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
104.5 ESPN and Rev Business bring you live coverage from Omaha, the 2023 Men's College World Series. Charlie Handegriff and Jimmy Ott are anchoring our team coverage. Starts tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. They'll be on 6 to 8 tomorrow, and will continue on Friday with a special edition of Live at Lunch at 11 a.m. Plus, on Saturday, the Tigers will get things started at 6 o'clock against Tennessee. You can catch a pregame show from Omaha starting Saturday at 3 o'clock. They'll run from 3 to 5:30, and they'll hand it over to the network. Incidentally, you can catch that right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge or over on Eagle 98.1. Our coverage of LSU Fighting Tiger baseball in the 2023 College World Series, powered by Rev Business. All right, SEC football schedule will be announced this evening for the 2024 season. Texas and Oklahoma will be in the mix at that point. There are slowly been a few leaks as to what we can expect tonight with the reveal. Peter Burns, who I think's probably got a pretty good source on this. You work for the league's network, you may just get a cookie here and there. And he said each of the SEC teams will play either Texas or Oklahoma once in the upcoming 2024 college football season. Every SEC team will have the Longhorns or Sooners on their schedule this coming year. So that means to me, since there are 8 league games next year, Texas is going to play 7 of the teams, Oklahoma is going to play 7 of the teams, and then they're going to play each other for the 8th game. That would make sense. I'm not very good at math. I'm not very good at like putting things together like that in my head, but that would make sense. There are right now 14 teams in the league. 7 of them are playing Texas. 7 of them play Oklahoma. So that's 7 games for both of them, and I'm assuming they'll play each other. Billy Lucci from Texags, who has great sources over there in College Station, has said that Texas A&M will host LSU and Texas next football season. So that means that LSU is headed to College Station next year. That would keep with the flow of the schedule. LSU was in College Station last year. They'll be in Tiger Stadium this year, and then LSU will head to College Station the following season. And we have learned that LSU and Alabama will, in fact, play in Baton Rouge next football season. So that rivalry is being maintained. Scott Rabelais tweeted that out. So, look, the divisions are gone. There is no you're guaranteed to play Ole Miss. You're guaranteed to play Arkansas. You're probably not getting Vanderbilt. You're probably not getting Missouri. Like those things that work in your brain aren't necessarily applicable anymore. So as far as we know, with LSU's schedule coming up in 2024, we know that they are playing Alabama in Baton Rouge. We know that they are playing Texas A&M in College Station, and we know that they will play Texas or Oklahoma. That is the way this thing shakes out. Now, I will tell you this. There are only 2 words that truly matter when you get a scheduling reveal. The 2 words that are manna from heaven, that everyone is dying to have bestowed upon them. The only 2 words that matter in an SEC schedule reveal when it pertains to football are at Vanderbilt. That's all you need to know. At Vanderbilt. If you can get at Vanderbilt, you're starting off on the right track. I know everybody's looking for Bama, and they're looking for Auburn, they're looking for Florida, they're looking for Texas, Oklahoma, A&M. You're looking for those, I know. But at Vanderbilt is what you want, because that's a cool trip, a guaranteed win, and quite frankly, for the pre- and post-game show host, it might be at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I can be done by 4:30. That's what we're looking for, at Vanderbilt. Good trip, easy win, great game slot, get on down the road. Then you worry about the rest of the schedule. That's how y'all approach it, right? No? Just me? But we'll see. I'm curious to see really LSU's schedule and how it's put together, because that's the most important thing. I tell you every single time we discuss anything on this show that my only question is, how does it affect LSU? But I'm also curious as to how many rivalries they're able to keep and which ones got left on the cutting room floor. When we were looking at some of these permanent opponent things, you were looking at rivalries, and I use air quotes, like LSU Florida, like LSU Auburn, that were not going to be continued annually. You saw, what have grown to be great games over the years between Tennessee and Florida, one of the classic rivalries in the SEC that wasn't going to be continued based on that little pod system that leaked. But we've always been told that you have to preserve the integrity of Alabama, Tennessee, and you have to preserve the integrity of Auburn and Georgia. And because of this, LSU's got to go play Florida. That's been the message for the last 30 years. And I think that message potentially goes away tonight when they announce it. I went through this whole thing on Monday about the Big Ten preserving these trophy games and doing this Flex Plus scheduling and all that kind of stuff, and what that would look like in the Southeastern Conference. And the fact of the matter is that every game that you as an LSU fan point to as a huge rivalry game is considered by the other fan base as secondary. So I don't think LSU and Auburn is going to get the same consideration as Alabama, Tennessee. I don't think the league necessarily cares that LSU's played more games against Mississippi State than anybody in the history of the school. But there are also games that I never even considered caring about. But when they came out with that little pod system and permanent opponent thing, and Kentucky and Tennessee weren't playing, both sides said, wait a second, that's a game we're supposed to play. So you can't please everybody with a football schedule. That can't be done. It's impossible. I just am fascinated with the way they're going to shake this thing out. And so they've let a little bit slip, and I'm sure we'll get a little bit more as time goes on. Let me just go ahead and do this. Chris Lowe's been kind of all over this. Let me see if he has tweeted anything. There's one more piece of nugget. See, this thing's just kind of sifting out time and time again. Georgia and Alabama are going to play in 2024. Let's see if he says where that's going to be. That will be in Tuscaloosa. So Alabama and Georgia will play each other in 2024 in Tuscaloosa. To me, that just, in my mind, makes it unlikely that LSU and Georgia are going to play. I know there are no more divisions, and I'm not thinking in that direction, but it feels like they're not going to have Georgia play Alabama and LSU. That's just maybe that's a perfect example of my head sticking with divisions and the SEC saying we don't have those anymore. We'll tell you who to play. But those are the ones that we have. Alabama will be in Tuscaloosa. Texas will be in College Station. LSU will be in College Station, and Alabama will be in Baton Rouge in 2024. So that full-scale reveal will be tonight at 6 o'clock Central Time on the SEC Network. That's when Feinbaum ends at 6, and then they'll go into what I'm sure will be called SEC Now, and they'll talk football. It's amazing, football's ability to stay in the news all year round, and certainly that applies right here, the SEC schedule for 2024, and we'll certainly react to all of it on tomorrow's show as we continue to get you ready for the College World Series. I'm going to tell you about our Rad Dad contest because it's about to wrap up. So I would suggest if you're interested in winning the Rad Dad contest, you go ahead and enter it. 104.5 ESPN and Acura Baton Rouge want to know how rad is your dad. You can upload a picture of your dad doing dad things to 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge now through June 15th for a chance to win him a charter fishing trip for 4, courtesy of LouisianaCharterFishing.com. We'll choose a winner at random on June the 16th. That's in 2 days. Happy Father's Day from Acura of Baton Rouge, LouisianaCharterFishing.com, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. All right, Chris Demui coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana like Corey Barr. Corey's the owner and founder of Parish Restaurant, Standard Coffee Company, and Heritage Catering up in Funroe, Louisiana. That's where he was born and raised. Corey's a Louisianian first and a chef second. From winning Chopped to being named the Food & Wine's best new chef, his career has been marked by just incredible accolades. But for Corey, the greatest rewards come from supporting his local community of Monroe, Louisiana, and mentoring young talent, giving back through charitable efforts. Corey Barr is a star, but he takes care of his hometown, and that's what's making him a champion of Louisiana. If you know a champion of Louisiana like Corey Barr, go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana so we can tell their story. Corey Barr is June's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
Up on Thursday's OTB. Hear from the head man of LSU baseball, Jay Johnson, as they get ready to head to Omaha. Plus, we'll talk to your favorite announcer from the booth, Ben McDonald, giving you his read off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along on this Wednesday, half the work week in the rear view mirror. It's that time of the week where we chat with our guy Chris Demui on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. He's the host of the 60 Feet 6 Inch LSU Baseball podcast, and I think he's headed to Omaha. Demui, how are you?
Doing well, Hunt. How you doing, buddy?
Doing very good. Did I get that right? Are you heading north?
Yeah, the NCAA almost got me with the bracket switch. I thought I was going to be on Friday, but I was able to rearrange some things, and I got a work trip next week that anyway, I'm going to be there. So, yeah, I'm going up there with my son and a couple other friends, but looking forward to it.
Have you ever been as not a player?
No. So it's been 24 years. So it'll be interesting being on much older and on the other side of the of the white line.
That's awesome. I like the new ballpark. Some people don't like it because it's not Rosenblatt. I like it. I like the location of it. I like the functionality of it. I think it's nice. I've spent time in the press box and I've spent time in the stands. I like it. I will tell you this, though, having you played in Rosenblatt, go check out the old site. They've put a little thing there where it's now a parking lot for the zoo, but it's a cool little kind of memento or memorial of what was a spot where LSU had a lot of really good memories.
Will do. That sounds good. Yeah, I have to put that one on the list for sure.
All right, let's go back to the Super. LSU launched 6 homers on Saturday. Skeens was pretty good, and they got it done on Sunday with some help from the bullpen. What was your biggest takeaway from Super Regional Weekend?
It feels like they're kind of rounding into form. You've seen them win games different ways, and I think they've kind of gotten accustomed to that. You even saw that in the regional. It's nice to see them hitting home runs again. I don't know how much that's going to translate when you get up to Omaha in that ballpark, and the ball may not fly as well. But the bullpen continues to look good. We've talked on the show. You only need 4 to 5 arms to get to Omaha out of the pen, and now you're there. You didn't even need that many, and if you can somehow stay in the winner's bracket, 4 to 5 arms out the pen can get you to the championship series, just with regards to schemes, and what Floyd can potentially give you, then obviously Hurd and his flexibility. So defense looked good as well. Thompson made some unbelievable plays. So it just feels like they're finally playing well in all 3 phases of the game. And I don't know if there's a better time to put all that stuff together than right now.
What makes Gavin Guidry effective?
I think first and foremost, it's his attitude. He he had some bumps in the road, obviously being a freshman, but to me, it doesn't seem like, or he has gotten over the ability of pressure to affect him, right? He's won in high leverage situations in the SEC, then in the regional and the super regional, so he continues to break through different types of pressure barriers. So I think that's the first one. He has the mental makeup to be up there. And the other one, he has one dominant pitch. As a closer, you don't have to have 4 or 5 pitches. You got to have one. And obviously everybody knows that's his breaking ball, which he leans on heavily. And it's his ability to throw it for a strike at any time. 3-2, 3-1, 2-0, it doesn't matter. So to me, those are the 2 biggest things which have really made him effective this year.
What about Cooper?
I love the way he's pitching right now. I like Riley Cooper. He reminds me of myself a little bit, just in the way he goes about things. You know, he may throw a little bit harder than I did, but just kind of at the end, and he can finish games. So, and he's left-handed, so obviously got some lefty love for him. But look, he's been there and done that. He's been in the College World Series. Jay, trust him. We've talked about that extensively this year. And look, he works really quick. So as a defense, they love to play behind him. He throws strikes, and he's going to challenge the other team to swing the bat. And that's what I like about Cooper. He's not going to mess around when he comes in. He throws a pitch, gets back on the mound, and right now, just a lot of confidence. And then lastly, his ability to extend, I don't think can be overlooked, you know. And he can throw back-to-back days if needed. So just his versatility right now and then his confidence, to me, is it's really coming through on the mound.
As far as Skeens goes, Tennessee's already seen him. Now, Kentucky had already seen him as well. Does that matter?
Oh, you know, I was actually thinking about that as I was looking at some notes, getting ready to do a preview podcast. I call it a push. I had a feeling you may ask that question because Arkansas had seen him, and I don't know if it was a combination of they had a really good plan and approach in the SEC tournament. Skeens wasn't great that day, and I thought Arkansas hit him pretty well. Like you said, Kentucky, we were interested to see how that would happen, and he dominated. And looking at his box score last time against Tennessee, 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 1 run winner, and 1 walk, 12 Ks. And I went back to see how Tennessee scored. And they manufactured 1 run off of him. You know, the other one came off of Ackenhausen. Skeens dominated Tennessee. So I think it's a push. You know, they know what to expect. He knows what to expect. And then it's just going to be good on good and just see who comes out on top.
Do you worry about the fact that LSU hasn't been to Omaha with this group before?
No. I think a lot of teams are in this boat, right? Wake Forest hadn't been since 55. I should know when Tennessee's been last, but I can't remember.
2 years ago.
Okay.
They beat us in the Super Regional. Maneri's last game.
That's right. You're exactly right. Yeah. So I don't know if it necessarily matters. You know, they got guys that need to perform on Tennessee's team that maybe necessarily haven't been there, or they weren't in that situation, or they were riding the bench or reserve. So it's just everybody's going to have nerves. It's just how quickly can you get over it, and then if you can put the fact that you're playing in front of 25,000, a couple million people on TV behind you, and realize it's still baseball when you boil down to it, right? You got to make pitches, get outs, and you got to get runners in. I think those are the teams that are going to win.
Where are you with Griffin Herring at this point in his role in this pitching staff?
I'm fine with it. I think he's got a really bright future ahead of him next year. But right now, it's weird, right? Because in the regionals and super regionals, you just don't need some people to pitch. And I thought he threw really well against Oregon State. If you go back and look at his box score, a couple of innings, he kind of sliced through the top of that lineup pretty well. So I'm fine. You know, it's all 3 lefties are pretty much the same in terms of their velocity and their stuff. Obviously, I don't know what it looks like from a hitter's perspective, but I like him in the role he's in now. He can extend as well, and he's shown a lot of the same characteristics that Gavin Guidry has shown in closing out games and in pitching in high-level situations. And I think if I remember, he closed it out against Tennessee in that Sunday game. In the Saturday game where LSU won Friday and Saturday before they kind of got blown out Sunday. So I like Herring. I don't know if y'all been talking about him before I got on here. Or?
No, Tennessee's just very left-handed. Blake Burke's left-handed. Maui Huna's left-handed. They've got, Wes Rucker, who covers Tennessee, was on Matt's show yesterday, and he said it may be his left-handed lineup he's ever seen. So Skeens is going to get the ball first, and if he goes 9, he goes 9. But I just feel like Cooper and Ackenhausen and Herring are probably going to have to be ready to roll. And maybe if you see him down the line as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I know this may sound weird or contrarian to what I just said. I almost like Ackenhausen a little more than Cooper if you have to get 1 or 2 of those guys out, right? Dickey is really good. Ahuna is good, I guess. But I was actually looking. Ahuna leads the team in strikeouts.
Yeah.
I don't know how they had the leadoff guy leading the team in strikeouts. Very odd. But Blake Burke and Dickey are the ones that really scare me from the left-handed side. So, and then Denton can flip around. But I like Ackenhausen and his slider. I just think his slider's better than Cooper's. So I may lean Ackenhausen in a pinch. You know, obviously something weird happens and you got to go Cooper early. I would hate for that to happen, but I would agree with that assessment. You know, the lefties could definitely play a role at the end of the game.
Chatting with Chris Demui, 60 Feet 6 Inch LSU Baseball Podcast. We'll have a preview podcast coming up shortly that you can find on all your audio platforms. Any concern with Ty Floyd's outing on Sunday?
No, I'm interested to get your take on it. I may have heard it the other day when I was rolling in town. it was very similar to the Oregon State thing right before the rain got him. I felt like I was there in standing room only behind the plate. And I said on the review podcast, fastball is easy to tell. I just couldn't tell on his breaking ball. And it looked like he may have struggled with that, and you can tell me what you saw. But his stuff still looks good. He fights, he battles, he takes a little while to get going. I just feel like he's been inefficient with when he gets to 2 strikes. You know, it's all of a sudden 2-2, then 3-2. So, and that obviously, as you know, just drives his pitch count way up. Torrey's in 70 pitches in the 3rd or the 4th inning. So his stuff looks good. He's just kind of can't get over the hump right now. But he's keeping you in games, though, right? He gave up 3 solo home runs. I don't have a problem with that. So I still have a lot of confidence in him going in game 2 against whoever that may be. I mean, what did you think of his outing? I couldn't tell from his breaking ball from where I was standing.
So the breaking ball was okay in spots, and there were other times, which seems to happen in most of his starts, where like it just slips out of the top of his hand totally. It's not even a competitive pitch. Like it's rare that he's always got it on the way that some guys do with their breaking ball. It's hit or miss at times. I'm with you though on the 3 solo home runs. You give up 3 solo home runs, I'll live with that. Especially the fact that those are going to fly out of the box a little more quickly than they are up there at in Omaha. So, is he the best number 2 going up there? No, I think Florida and Wake Forest would, and even Tennessee would have you there. Right. But I think he's capable of helping LSU, and they're going to have those bullpen guys who have they've found who they want to be. And I guess that's my question. Basically all you can ask is that you, over 56 games, put yourself in position to play at home. They did that. And then when you get to Omaha, at least know who you are, who's going out there, and what you can reasonably expect from them. And I feel like with the 4 or 5 relievers that they've got and the lineup that they've settled on, at least they know who they are.
No, I would agree with that too. And I think Jay has a pretty good idea of who he's going to throw in next in terms of confidence level. And I think the big wild card in Omaha, obviously it all depends on the Tennessee game. If you fall into the losers bracket, or then you're looking potentially at a chance to play, obviously it's going to be Wake or Stanford. But to me, the wild card is still Thatcher Hurd. He was hot in the 8th and the 9th. I thought he may come in to close it out. I just didn't know if Guidry was going to close it out. Then they get the 3 runs in the 9th, and it made sense just running back out there. He did what he does. But I think Hurd could be the key, in terms of where you fall in that bracket. And then if Ty Floyd gives you 4 innings again, does he go to Cooper, or does he look to potentially go to Hurd, knowing, it's weird, right? Either your season's on the line or you're looking at a chance to get a couple days off. So that's going to vary into what he tries to do to try to get through game 2. But I think Hurd could be a big X factor heading up to Omaha.
They're going to have him one way or another. There's no doubt about that. All right, get that preview podcast up. We'll be listening to it, and we'll talk again next week.
Sounds good, Hunt. Thanks, buddy.
He's Chris Demui, former Tiger, played for the Tigers up in Omaha. Going to be headed up there to see the boys playing this coming week. So we'll get with Mr. Demui some point next week. I'm a little concerned with the show next week, being a 1 o'clock show and having a 1 o'clock game just about every day as a possibility. Second you fall into the losers bracket, you play at 1. And this will be some worthless radio shows if we're doing a broadcast during an LSU College World Series game. But we'll see. Maybe they'll stay in the winners bracket. They won't lose any, and they'll play at 6 o'clock all week, and that'll be just fine with me. We'll take one more time out, come back, and close it up.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. I'm on onebathandclosets.com right now. And there's a lot of functionality with this website. You can learn about David Duvall's company. They've been doing this for 30 years. You can also see a gallery of some of the things that they've done with bathrooms and closets. You can see some of their tub-to-shower conversions where they have taken out old tubs and put in gorgeous glass walk-in showers. You can see the testimonials from clients and customers that have had great experiences with David Duvall and his team. And you can also request that free consultation to have them come in and check out what they can do for you. Maybe you've got an aging parent who needs some help in the bathroom, maybe a walk-in tub or some safety measures that need to be put in. David Duvall and his team do a ton of that over at One Bath and Closets. So if that's you, give them a call or check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. On the closet side, how about the closet of your dreams? Maybe you don't have enough shoe space. Maybe you're sharing a closet with a significant other and there's not enough room. Let David Duvall come in and unclutter all of that. He does it for a living. He can do it for you. Onebathandclosets.com is the website, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile. on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come home, live Baton Rouge. Ah, no matter what you put me on through, gotta send my love down to
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Join me, Jimmy Ott, Charles Handegriff, Thursday night edition of Live at Lunch. It's dinner time, 6 to 8 p.m. from Ameristar, brought to you by Roosters Men's Grooming Center. It's Live at Lunch, special evening edition, 6 to 8 p.m. Thursday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, just about to close up shop here on Wednesday. Reminder, Jimmy and Charlie are headed to Omaha tomorrow. They will be on 6 to 8 p.m. tomorrow talking College World Series. Then they'll be back to their regular scheduled Live at Lunch, 11 to 1, coming up on Friday. That'll lead you perfectly right in to the College World Series opener. That is TCU and Oral Roberts over on the other side of the bracket. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Fans are now attending Taylor Swift concerts in diapers, so they don't have to miss a song. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I gotta leave that. I can't endorse adults wearing diapers to a concert so they can urinate on themselves while Taylor Swift dances about. I cannot endorse this type of behavior. Just go to the restroom.
Let's go fun. Before. The concert's, what, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours?
Hey, you get a couple of cold pops in you. I mean, you may need to go to the restroom in a 2 hour span. But just pick one of her songs that is not good. I don't want to hear you tell me that every song she sings is 100% banger. That's not the case. And you can't wear a diaper. Aren't people supposed to, like, look presentable at a concert?
Yeah, I don't know how.
This is despicable what human life is descended into.
There are rumors swirling that the New Orleans Pelicans could trade up for a top 3 pick in this year's draft. That would include Mr. Zion Williamson. Trading Zion after 4 years and 3 seasons played. Take it or leave it.
I got to leave this. You're going to jump on a lottery ticket here. I realize that Zion's kind of a lottery ticket, but like he's proven himself to be a dominant NBA player when he's healthy. I know he's never healthy, but this feels like an admission of failure by the front office if you do that. And it feels like another 3-year reboot. And at that point, CJ McCollum's going to be on the back end of his career. I feel like you thought as of 6 months ago around Christmas that you had a nucleus that could theoretically compete for a championship when healthy, and you would be totally abandoning that if you do that. I'm leaving that.
Carolina Panthers head coach Frank Reich said receiver DJ Chark will be their big play guy this season. Chark will have a 1,000-yard season. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. It's more attainable with a 17-game schedule, but I'm just a little concerned with the quarterback play by a rookie. I don't know that that's an awesome situation. DJ's plenty talented, and he can go, and he can certainly rip the top off a defense and make big plays, so that's not out of the question. And I hope he gets a 1,000-yard season. That'd be great for him. But you got a rookie quarterback. I'm not gonna put all my eggs in that basket just yet, so I'll leave that one as well.
Asked if Patrick Mahomes is the best QB in the game, Jamar Chase responded, "Who?" And of course, this is pertinent as well because Joe Burrow was asked the same question and said that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the game. Jamar Chase saying, "Who?" Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I mean, the guy was just a wizard, and he beat you in the AFC Championship game. So I get it. Jamar loves his dude. I love Jamar. I love his dude, Joe B. They're my guys. The Bengals are my squad. Longtime 3-year Bengals fan here checking in. But, I mean, the guy's pretty good. You want to dismiss, like, if somebody of the Saints said that about Bryce Young, who was the number 1 pick in the draft, a new hotshot, and you're like, who? Okay, you got no skins on the wall, fine. Mahomes got a couple Super Bowls. He just eliminated you from the playoffs. Like, I got a hard time with that one. The Mahomes guy is pretty good. I just looked up on ESPN, and they were just had a graphic running under somebody that was talking saying, is Mahomes Burrow the next great quarterback rivalry, kind of the Manning Brady type deal? And I'm not here to tell you that it's not. I think it's possible. Both of those franchises look to be in really good shape, and they have young, good quarterbacks. So I think there's a real good chance of that. They've played monster playoff games the last 2 years to go to the Super Bowl, and they've been in the Super Bowl the last 2 years. So I think we're kind of in the middle of it at this point. It's not even like are they? It's like we're here. I mean, certainly you could see a situation where Baltimore would come in, or maybe San Diego, Los Angeles now would come in and kind of wreck the party. But those two are pretty solidified. You got to deal with Buffalo as well. But I'm here for it. I think it's awesome, and it's made things more interesting for me, who doesn't have a dog in the hunt in the NFL week in and week out, to pay a little bit more attention to that. I'm in for it. So that'll do it for Take It or Leave It. Fun show. A lot of fun today. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or of course YouTube. You can find all of our stuff uploaded each and every day. Open the show talking about how the ballpark in Omaha is going to play. I got Chris Burke's thoughts on that at 2 o'clock, but I gave you kind of how I think things are going to shake out up there in Omaha, which has been a graveyard, but we're now in a massively offensive push of college baseball. What does that mean for the ballpark up there at Charles Schwab, the Chuck Box, as they were calling it on D1 Baseball's podcast? I'll give you my thoughts on that at 1 o'clock. Les Johns covers Wake Forest for Demon Deacon Digest, part of the 24/7 network. We talk with Les Johns at 1:15. LSU got a football commitment in Kylan Billiot. Talked about that at 1:30. It was also a What If Wednesday. Gave you some bets for U.S. Open golf at the end of hour number 1. Chris Burke, as always, was great at the top of hour number 2. Burke headed to Omaha to do some TV work for ESPN. Kind of got his thoughts on a lot of the different teams and players in the bracket. SEC football bringing out their schedule for 2024. I gave you that at 2:15, and we always chat with Chris Demui at 2:30. So go catch any and all of that on demand. Tomorrow's show, looking very much forward to that as well. Ryan Shemp, who used to come on with us on Fridays, is going to join us, talk about some of his memories of Omaha and what it's like showing up there for the first time in a little bit, as his team did in 2008 before they won it in 2009. And we always chat with Joe Healy on Thursdays, so looking forward to hearing from Joe Healy of D1 Baseball. I got a chance to meet over the weekend in the press box up at Alec Box Stadium. All right, that'll do it for me. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home on After Further Review. We will be back here, same time, same place tomorrow, talking SEC schedule and the road to Omaha. On Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.